So in this video lecture, we're looking at the 13 major characteristics of handwriting. I stress major characteristics. You can get down to the details as we see pictured here, but we're going to get kind of at the broad and look at some examples of the major characteristics in handwriting. Also great to look at your own handwriting. Well, the statement for comparison is going to be Jack and Jill went up the hill. So we're going to keep this consistent through the samples we're going to look at through these 13 different kind of methods of comparison. So these kind of characteristics that we're going to be looking at, they're all listed here. I'm going to go through them. So hopefully you can stick around and pause the video. It's encouraged so you can kind of look and compare to see what you're looking at for these 13 major characteristics. Well, let's start with the first one. Look at line quality. Well, are the letters erratic? Are they shaky, or do they flow? You can see an example of smooth, shaky, or nervous, or juvenile, and or deliberate here. So these are just different line qualities to be looking at, the degree of smoothness, shakiness, or kind of deliberate writing that the person may have done. You also have word and letter spacing. So what's the spacing of the letters? Now, this example right near me, we see this kind of generated on a computer form, but is the spacing between the letters, between the capital letters and the smaller letters, is there a consistent pattern that we see that? Space between capital letters, space between word formations, what is that spacing? And again, these are characteristics we're looking at in someone's handwriting sample. We also have letter comparison as well as size consistency. How does the ratio of height and width compare? Are they consistent or are they inconsistent? How's the height of the overall writing? Is the height of the tall to the short letters? Is there evidence of diminishing strokes? Does it kind of get smaller as you go through, or does it increase as you go from left to right here? All things, again, to be comparison and looking for consistencies. Looking at someone's pen lifts, is the writing continuous, or does the writer lift the writing implement between words? Not only between words, but sometimes between different letters you want to consider. How often are they picking that pen up and moving it to the next letter or word? As we can see here, we can see this kind of joining that's occurring here between the letters of the same word, but there's a space, again, between words. Some people will break that kind of between the capital letter and a lowercase letter. There's definitely a space there. So there's a pen lift there, as we would call it. Then connecting strokes or letters. So are the capital letters and lowercase letters connected or continuous or not? As I mentioned before, we can see some of that. Also pay attention to how the first letter starts and also how the last letter ends. Is there a flare? Is there a direct line at the end? Do they add a flourish, it's called? Is there an abrupt ending? Is there kind of this kind of stroke to kind of begin to flourish to start the word, start the letter, I should say. So you're looking at kind of where are their connections, where are their strokes in their letters. Beginning and ending strokes leading to the page placement. So when we're looking at where do the letters begin in relation to the space provided on a piece of paper. Now, if there's no lines, that can increase the variability that you may see, but where does the letter begin on the page? Are they starting at the same point? Are they starting in the middle? Are they starting, where are they starting? How far are they spacing it from the edge of the paper that they're writing on? Letter formation, cursive and or printed. So are there any consistencies within this? Are the letters printed? Are they written in cursive? Is there a combination of the two, as so often it can be seen? How are the letters oriented? Are they slants? Are they angles? Are they upright? All, again, factors to be considering. Shading and also the pen pressure. As we can see, this large variability here as far as is the pressure equal or unequal when applied to the upward and downward strokes. Do you notice a pattern? Are there consistencies? Are they putting more pressure initially and then lighting up as they're going through writing? Is it the other way around? Again, these are attention to details that will allow someone who's analyzing handwriting to be able to pick out some of these and make comparisons or find similarities that other people may not be able to find or see. There's also the slant we talked about. Is there a slant to the writing in general? You can use a protractor to determine the degree if you want to get to that level of specificity. But does it favor the left or the right, or is it variable? Again, consistencies within the writing are important. Baseline habits. So how does the text relate to the lines on the paper it's written on? Is it above or below the line? Are there consistent patterns? Are they very key about staying on the line and having, for example, the P drop below? Are they having some that travel below? Are they having some that drift above? All these baseline habits are often consistent that you may see. flourishes or embellishes that I hinted to before? Are there additional curls or loops added to the letters? How fancy is the writing? Are there certain letters that this handwriting has consistent flourishes or embellishments on, and other letters that do not have that? Again, a pattern you might be able to pick out and notice. Placement of the crosses on the T's and dots on the I's. It's as simple as it states here. How are the T's crossed? Are they in the high or the middle or in the low portion of the T? How are the dots of the I's placed? Are they left, right? Are they centered? All things to be kind of considered here. We could see some extreme examples here. Are they are the dots of the I's a little circle? Are they a true dot? Where's that dot placed? The dotting of the I can be quite interesting. When the dot is precise, it indicates order, attention, and concentration by the author. An I without a dot or a dot incorrectly drawn indicates a lack of attention by that person, or a kind of negligence by the author. Were they in a rush? Could that play into it as well? In the crossing of the T's, some of the characteristics there. When investigating the T, how are the two main areas, the stem and the T-bar? Several characteristics compare. The shape of the stem, angle of the stem, what's going on with where it's being crossed, where is that T placed, is it on a slant or not? Again, things to consider. This T-bar characteristics, at least the height of that, where is it placed on that? What's the progress of the T-bar? Is it kind of favoring a left or a right side? What are the dimensions of the T-bar, the directions of the T-bar? So as simple as, writing the word it, IT, two letters, can really tell a lot about someone's handwriting potentially. Lastly, we have the margin formatting. So how much empty space is left? Where does the writer leave the empty space on the page? Is it consistent? Is it jagged? Is there an angle to it? These are things, again, to be looking at as part of all of the factors that go into handwriting analysis. So as you can see, it can be quite varied, but if you kind of break these apart and pick a handwriting, kind of go through all 13, you should be able to find some of these unique characteristics. And if you look at your own handwriting, you might find things that you didn't think you were doing all along.